Hello, everybody. My name is Leon, and I'm starting a little series called Getting Shit Done or something along those lines. Basically, I have an issue where I start a bunch of projects and then leave them half finished. And so, this is kind of my way to keep myself accountable by actually finishing these projects and posting them and showing what I'm doing. So, first of all, I'm gonna start learning Blender. Now you guys are gonna see what I've done over the past 2 weeks, learning it and kind of my thought process behind it. This is by no means a tutorial. I actually, in almost all of my projects follow a tutorial for these first 2 weeks, as I literally do not know how to use Blender. So yeah, enjoy. Alright, so what you're seeing right now is my very first actual tutorial project. It's by CG Fast Track, I'm pretty sure. And it's basically him making some arches and then later on making a sword, which I found really cool, and I found it different than the donut tutorial because I wanted to be different, and so I started with this. He's really good at explaining all the shortcuts and training your muscle memory, because every single time you extrude something or you duplicate something, he goes through the shortcut and tells you to practice it. And he has a very nice teacher method of asking you to pay attention to his screen and then do it yourself. So very giving. For me, it was kind of boring because I already knew all these shortcuts, so I played his video on 2 times speed just to save myself some time. But overall, it's a really good tutorial. I do recommend it if you are going to learn Blender as well. So I forgot to start recording for the second part of the project, but all I did was really just add some basic textures and then provide physics for all the blocks so that they fall. I am explaining all this in the video, but the audio was so bad that I just decided to do a voiceover. And this was basically the first thing done. It was very simple, very easy. It was all blocks, so there was no real modeling, which is what I wanted to do, and which is also why I was excited for this next part, which was the sword. The sword tutorial was way more interesting. I finally got to model a sword and actually do some modeling instead of just using blocks. He did show some modifiers and tips and tricks on how to make stuff like sharp angles become more smooth, and how to make stuff look like it's actually hard surface and not just a bunch of planes that are connected, which was really fun, especially doing the handle of the sword, which was more like round and interesting shapes. But the problems did start when it came to shading and texturing. So the thing is, the texturing went well up until the point where he started adding bloom and basically making the little light on in the middle of the blade, so it looks like the blade is enchanted. So that little thing uses ray tracing, which is different in the new version of Unity than it is in the old one. And what's different about it is they just removed the option of bloom from ray tracing. And so basically, I had to go online and search up a different way to do it, and the only way I found how was through composition. So I had to do it that way, and this is how it turned out. The problem is, composition is like slapping a filter on in Snapchat. It doesn't actually help the model, it just kind of puts an effect on it after it has been rendered. So I can't use this model for like in-game type stuff for like my Unity project, but it still works for a nice render, and I don't think I need a sword right now for my project, so I'm not going to worry about it. So this is the final result. This is what the sword looks like after I finished the handle and the handguard. It was a really fun tutorial. It was way more fun than the first one, but the issue is he did set all the parameters. So when I was looking at the tutorial, he told me like go to the blade, select, set it to like 7.2 in length, like 0.8 in width. So it wasn't really me doing the work. It was just him giving me the numbers and showing me what to do one for one, which was cool. I did get this very cool sword, but it's not what I was looking for overall. But this was the final result. So after finishing that, I decided to do the donut tutorial because while I was very against it at the start, it is a tutorial that basically everybody should go through, and it is a tutorial that everybody recommends. So I was like, why not finally do it? So I did the tutorial by Blender Guru. It actually came out just a couple of months ago with pretty much the new version of Blender and most of the new features in it. So I was able to follow it along. It was a 5-hour tutorial that I kind of squished down into like 2.5 hours by speeding it up, skipping over some parts, as it was a lot of explaining the basics as you would to somebody just beginning. But I knew all like the basics. I just needed a little bit of guidance. And basically it was just making the shape, adding the frosting, adding the particles, which was really interesting. And actually I do want to learn the geometry nodes part of Blender. And then it was composition, which was like putting everything in the scene, putting the correct lighting, and then rendering, which was also a lot of lighting work and stuff like that, special effects, which I don't really care about because most of these are going to be assets for my games and they're not going to be rendered in Blender. They're going to be rendered in Unity, which means that I need the models themselves to have the correct texture rather than Blender to have the correct settings to display them. And talk about Blender rendering, let me show you what I had to deal with. No way. Oh my god, I move it like a pixel and it starts redrawing it, and then everything just goes to shit. Oh my god, no. So, kind of the last hour of his video, I skipped through, I kind of skimmed it, but I didn't actually focus on it. And this was the final result. Yeah, so this is the final result. Looks amazing. Right? So, yeah. A lot of composition was like placing these flowers, placing this entire box, making sure the lighting, there's an extra lighting in here to like get the underside, but at the same time not get too much of the sun in the way. But yeah, it was all these tips and tricks of how to set it properly in order to make this like as realistic as possible, using lighting, which was really cool. I really enjoyed it. So after finishing with the donut tutorial, I decided to stop with the tutorials for a while and just kind of do my own little projects that I can find. Because as you know, you learn a lot more when you do it yourself than when you have somebody else tell you how to do it. And so I started off with this fence because I really needed a fence for my game. And at first I came to this simple design, which was really easy to implement. So I was like, why not make it a little harder? Now, this fence took me a lot of retries because, again, I wasn't just following somebody's instructions, so I would constantly just delete everything I made and then redo it. But in the end, I came to a design that I like, and once again, texturing was my biggest flaw as I had no textures on already, and I have no clue how to texture a material from start. So I was just kind of stuck on there and decided to just deal with it later. So this was the final result. Kind of decided to slap some black base color and then make it extremely metallic and call it a day, as I really find it hard to texture and don't want to deal with it right now. I mostly enjoy modeling in Blender, so modeling all of these was fun, but trying to texture and find the right colors and the right combinations is extremely difficult for me right now, so I'll just learn in the future. And while editing this video, I also started this other project. which is a building for my game. Now this is supposed to be like an NPC building. This is still a work in progress, but yeah, the main idea is, well, first off, I only did one side because that's the only thing that the player is gonna see, and the roof is basically flat, as I'm gonna place like an icon here to show what kind of NPC or what kind of house it is. But yeah, still a work in progress, but looks very nice. I just stole these textures off of the websites that are giving them out, like the door and the building itself, and then colored everything in basic colors, adjusting just like the metallic and roughness. Alright guys, and this is basically the end of the video. This was my first 2 weeks in Blender, and these were all the projects that I made. I actually got them done, which was extremely nice, and I'm hoping that I will get a lot more stuff done. So yeah, thanks for watching, and have a great day.